Welcome, YouTube pipe smokers. I'm more or less all briared up. Um, I just wanted to put some positivity out. So I'm feeling great. I have been pleasantly surprised and blessed by this tobacco. So I did a review on it. It's posting or posted, whatever. And I've come to realize what a great smoke this is. This smoked in my meerschaum for a very long time. I just dumped the ashes out. When I dumped the ashes out, everything was ashes, except for some reason, even though there really wasn't any reason any tobacco in there should have been burning. And I was obviously burning the ashes. I started to barely just now since I quit. And this is like my fourth pipe bowl in a row. I was starting to almost get that heartburn a little bit now, but not bad. But it didn't do it while I was smoking. And I got clear to the bottom, and when I dumped it, all this ash came out, and there were several good embers, even though this really should not have been smoking. It was past the point where I was going, how am I still getting smoke from this? How is there an ember? This stuff burns a long time. So I want to keep the rating. Let's see what the rating was, I think. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. So, the rating of this, I think I gave it like a 4.4. I think it needs to go to like a 4.5. Or maybe 6. If I did, I don't remember. But good 4.5. Whatever I did, it needs to add a little bit because this tobacco burns a long time. Burns thoroughly, burns well, and holds embers very, very well. Very impressed with this. It gets even more pleasant as you smoke. The strength wears down, but it's more to a more pleasant, enjoyable, calm, relaxing smoke, whereas it doesn't just dissipate and be like, oh, where'd that flavor go? It's a good tobacco. Very good blend. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick shout out. I wanted to go ahead and mention something important. Um, I wanted to give a shout out to the children. Now, it's fitting, I guess, I'm not holding a pipe, but I, we go through our day to day, we do a whole lot. And if you're a parent, I'm sure you think about your kids all the time, more than you maybe even realize. And when something goes on, like if it's a loss, like with our beloved matches 860, or when there's a difficult time, like with Cliff Higgins going through what he and his family went through. Myself, when my dad had cancer twice. When just the loss of loved ones, or the times that really put you in a difficult situation. I'm going to do a a toast without a pipe, but I'm going to do a toast for the children. We've all been kids. We feel a lot of things. And a lot of times we just, deal with it, process it, move on. We may or may not have adults or close adults to help us through what we're going through, our experiences or feelings. And I just want to give a shout out to just say that I am proud of you. To all the kids in the families who a little bit get bypassed when you're focusing on a loved one. Like if your wife or spouse or friend or brother has a difficulty, the kids, you focus primarily on the priority. But I just wanted to give a special thanks an attaboy, a I'm proud of you, and thank you to the children. There's so many children whose potentials are not realized, and it may not be because of the children or because of the adults. It's just a circumstance. Um, you know, kids go through a lot and they develop all the time in many ways and many times at once. There's a lot they're going through, and kudos to them. There are some tough damn kids. Um, and it's just really something I felt like I had to say that, uh, you know, appreciate your kids, appreciate the kids in your life, whether they're yours or not. And, you know, maybe go give your niece or nephew, son or daughter, cousin, whatever, brother or sister, go give them a hug. Or call your niece and ask how she's doing. Call your nephew and chat about his day, just to chat. And I know it makes a difference. Now, I have an aunt who has all sorts of mental disorders. But one thing she's always, always, always done my entire life, no matter how crappy of situation she or her loser spouse were responsible for her being in, she always called me on my birthday to wish me happy birthday. She was there on my wedding. She had nothing. And I don't know where she got them, but she found, just, my parents always were real nostalgic. Especially me. I really am more nostalgic than anybody I know. And so she thought I'd like just these little kid, like, leather shoes. Just, one of those old throwbacks. My brother had a picture where he was in them when he was like 1. And these weren't the same shoes, but that kind of thing. And then she gave us this nice pen. I mean, it was a cheap pen that someone had put in a case and maybe she wanted or whatever. But it ties in with Christmas and just giving. And I think as just humanity, if Christmas didn't exist, I still think there'd be a time of year where we would just want to give something to somebody to show that gesture. And what a difference. I would see my aunt sometimes a few times a year, and then sometimes I wouldn't see her for 5 years. But that regular little once a year phone call. And she always answered the phone the funniest way. She always said, yeah, like you were carrying on a conversation. When you answered, she'd call you. Hello, yeah, happy birthday. I mean, it's the silliest thing. But I'm 33 now. She's never failed me. 33 years, regardless of if she had a phone or could afford one or not. She was able to call me on my birthday. Without fail. That was part of my development over the years. And it's pretty interesting that one phone call once a year, 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes longer, could make that big of a difference. Or big of an impact. Something really memorable. And I've got family, in-laws that I haven't seen in a few years. And some I haven't even talked to directly. I mean, my wife talks to her sister all the time. I don't. But they'll send us gifts out of nowhere, no matter what time of the year it is. And I always get something in it, which is kind of special because the relationship is really theirs. And I don't have much to do with her, with my sister, my one sister-in-law, or my other sister-in-law. But they're good people. And so I want you to just take the time and think a second that, remember that you play a part, an important part in this world. Small parts, big parts, whatever, they're all important. And I've had many big gestures from people at birthdays and Christmases, and they mean just as much to me as the one phone call once a year from my aunt. So think about if you're going through a hard time and you don't know how to keep going on. My favorite description of responsibility is, if you don't, who will? I'd like you to think about that for a moment. Yeah, other people could, whatever. If you don't hold the door for somebody at that right time, who will? If you don't help your grandma who's using a cane or in a wheelchair or not on that slick curb to get her into the shoe store she wants to go into, who will? Even if you have a small impact, it's an impact nonetheless. Things that you do will be remembered. You will have comments made. I've made them. You know, you talk to people, you go, oh yeah, my aunt used to do this, my uncle used to do this. I had one uncle that gave me the worst damn whisker rubs, and I almost hated him for it. He'd get his whiskers just right, and when you're an 8-year-old with no beard, and he comes up, hey, how you doing? Rub, rub, rub. I swear he was intending to make me bleed, because he did. That one time he did that, well, the 2 times that one day he did that, stuck with me. I know it was out of love, and that's what came through, but here's what's funny. It lasted 20-something years later. So I really encourage you, any person you run into, especially a child, just thank them. Just say, hey, thanks for being you. Thanks for being a good person. And I also wanted to spread another word of positivity that, you know, we've really got it good. I was speaking with a lady that went down a waterfall. She was, what was she doing? I don't think it was rafting. Maybe kayaking. Anyway, she took a wrong turn. She went down this huge waterfall. She drowned. She was pinned. The force of the waterfall was breaking bones. She drowned. She was gone. She had no oxygen to her brain for 30 minutes. She was as dead could be. And somehow she heard people calling her name, and she came back. Her eyes opened. They couldn't believe it. She was swollen and bloated from the water. She was purple all over, and she survived. And it made me laugh because the reason she called, I hadn't heard from her for years. She was one of my brother's teachers or something, that way back when I was like in kindergarten. And she was giving people calls, and she laughed because there was a show she watched. Almost identical, same thing happened. This lady, only on this one, the person was kayaking, and somebody got stuck at a waterfall route, and it forced this lady on the show she was watching to go down the wrong waterfall. She said same thing happened. She couldn't explain why an ambulance was where it was at the time it was. She couldn't explain how she survived in any way. So she just started calling people. Not just people she knew, but then after all this experience, she remembered people that she should not have even remembered. She remembered my brothers. She remembered they had a little brother. She called them. She called me. She's called people she went to school with. I mean, this lady is like in her late 50s, probably. And she just had this awareness. And she remembered everybody. She said, I never remembered these people. And she was getting calls and remembering kids and uncles and aunts. She's been looking people up. She's been driving to different towns. And she was saying, I just wanted to tell you, thank you, and I remembered your kindness. That's all she said. What a great message. No matter what you believe in, I believe in kindness. I believe in doing your best every day to be a positive person. You can screw up and have arguments. You can scold to too much or not enough or, whatever can happen. Time will go on. What people are going to remember are the small impacts you have through their life, is what they will remember. Please think on that. Also, even though Cliff Higgins is on the up and up, he's back on here, please say a prayer for him that he just keeps going really well. We need more people in the world like the people in the YTPC to make themselves known, to go out and cause a direct impact in somebody's life that's positive and motivating, even inspirational. If everybody did that, you could feel the earth as a whole getting lighter and better. So please, next pipe you smoke, just think about that. Think how you could make a small impact that could make a positive outcome in somebody's life that lasts throughout the years. Thank you. Have a great day.